year. So things are moving along quite expeditiously. I am excited today. I have uh, not one, not two, but three guests. And we're talking about two of my favorite subjects, health and wealth, and lots of events that we have going on in the Triangle, with the Triangle Wealthy Group and me being a realtor in the industry since 1997. I have had a passion for making sure that everybody is educated when it comes to buying your first home or whatever your real estate transaction is, because I always love for people to make informed decisions about your life. Sometimes people are like, oh, I didn't know it was all of that. Whether it's, I have people come to me and say, I want to be a realtor, I want to buy a house, I want to sell a house, whatever. I'm going to ask you all of those tough questions and share all the nitty gritty, not to discourage you, but to encourage you and let you make sure that you can make a very detailed, informed decision. And if I don't know the answer, I'm going to go out and ask somebody. So I don't know if I said, but I'm Latrice McFadden. I'm coming to you live all the way from Durham, North Carolina. And my three special guests today, we have Patrice Bayon, Janice Pipkin, and Tasha Lopez. And we are going to be talking about some events coming up this weekend, this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, dealing with health and wealth. And so, without any further, I'm just going to ask you to introduce yourself real quick, and I'm going to go in the order that I see you on the screen. So, Patrice, would you introduce yourself? Oops, I can't hear you. Oh, you're muted. Can you unmute? Yep, there you go.
Always a pleasure to come into community with other amazing women, and especially during the month of October, I'm indeed honored to be walking alongside other leaders that are really talking about health and wellness in this particular month. I am an entrepreneur, I am a consultant in organizational leadership, and I just love building community. And part of that is done through my nonprofit organization, Level Next. And it's just like this, it's actually using opportunities to help build capacity to lead up, level up, and lift up. So you'll hear a little bit more about what's going on with the event coming up, but I'm coming to you live from the Nightdale area, suburbs of Raleigh, Big Nightdale.
Welcome, welcome, Janice.
All right. Hey, everybody. Excuse me. Hi, everybody. My name is Janice Pipkin. I am also in Nightdale, North Carolina. I am a local visual artist, and I also specialize in hosting and organizing events focused on community engagement as well as healing within community. And so I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about an upcoming event we have this Sunday by the name of Fruitage of the Womb. So happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tasha.
My name is Tasha Lopez, and with Latrice, I work alongside her at EXP. I am here in Durham, North Carolina, and I'm a realtor, a realtist, and also an investor. And I believe in engaging the community at every level. And so I have a conference coming up this Friday and Saturday called the AIRS Conference. And it is designed not only to elevate um, those in our community, but also to leave something for those that are a part of our legacy and a part of our family. So AIRS is sort of a play on words, it's elevation, as well as reaching back to those that are behind. So I'm happy to talk to you more about that event coming up.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. I'm in the midst of greatness, and I love to see when we come together to educate, because a lot of times there can be a crabs in the barrel mentality, and I'm just not seeing that as much. And so I love to be in the room and in the presence of other people, other like minded people who want to give and pull up and share information, because I'm sure if we well, Janice is a little bit younger than the rest of us, I think, but I'm sure we could all go back, and maybe even you back a couple of years, um, and talk to our younger selves and maybe think about some of the things that we could have done different or the things that would have helped us. I'm sure we can see a lot of things. So I'm excited to get to just jump right in today. And let's start with the earliest event. So, Tasha, that would be your event that's coming
Mhm.
up this Friday and Saturday. So, can
Yes.
you tell us a little bit about the event, how it came about, and how people can get involved and join?
Mhm. So it's called the AIRS Conference, and AIRS is spelled AIRES, and it
Mhm.
stands for African Americans Investing in Real Estate. And so I'm pretty heavily involved in the investment community, and I'm willing to work with anyone. I love working with people. As far as like, let me qualify that. I love working with investors, um, and it doesn't matter, who it is. And one of the things I try to do is anytime I learn information, I try to take it back to people that are interested in learning. I've done over 20 something events at this point during the year. And one of the things that I noticed was sort of the lack of representation from those in the African American community in the investment spaces. Even though I was the teacher, the majority of my events, I was the only person a lot of times that looked like me.
Mm,
Not every time, certainly, but very, very often. And so I was like, this is interesting. And so, anyway, long story short, I got to thinking about it and talking to some people about it, and I recognized that we do have barriers to investing, and we do have things that sort of are those historical mindsets that we have to really break in order to begin investing in real estate. Because investing in real estate is not just, oh, I have some extra money, I'm going to go ahead and invest it. The purpose of investing in real estate is to create what these two ladies are talking about, health and wellness, right? Um, when you we get up every day and we trade our time for something. And oftentimes we trade that time for something that's not going to give us anything back. We go to work for an employer, and that employer is in return going to give you a paycheck. That paycheck isn't really going to generate anything additional for you. When you begin investing in real estate, you begin investing in yourself and your family. You get up every morning and you check your investments because those investments are going to be pouring back into you. So not only does it pour back into you financially, but it pours back into your time, being able to spend time with your family, being able to do things with your family. Me being a single mom, I was always strapped for cash, and having a second income when you don't have a husband is a wonderful thing.
mhm,
There's so many different things as far as being able to invest in real estate and things that those investments give back to you. It gives back your time, it gives back your freedom, and also it gives back to your family. So,
mm,
long story short, also as a single mom, my question was always, what am I going to leave my kids? Am I going to leave them saddled with debt? Am I going to leave them, a house? What am I going to leave, for them? Do I just leave them my 401k or life insurance policy? When you leave your child real estate, you leave them something that doesn't just hit their generation, but it's going to set up their kids. So it's
mm,
not just your children, but it's your children's children. Um,
mhm,
Real estate investing gives you the opportunity to do that. So, also with the AIRS conference, the other thing I really wanted to do was ensure a transfer of knowledge. So, this isn't you come to a conference, sit down, we talk at you, and you leave, go, that's great, that's okay. You're going to have true classroom teaching, small course sizes, and you're going to design and develop a plan for you to invest in real estate. So Latrice knows Latrice's situation better than I do. So you're
mm.
going to develop a plan for yourself. You're going to walk away with a blueprint on how you can begin investing in real estate regardless of where you are. And so we're going to cover a variety of topics. We have experts in the area. I don't know how much longer I have, but anyway, that's sort of the gist of it. Um, Small opportunity. I mean, a wonderful opportunity to be in small classroom sizes to really get down into the absolute nitty gritty of investing, so that you can not just invest but be successful at it.
Wow. So it sounds like it's going to be a phenomenal program. And we've had a lot of excellent real estate programs. And I will say that it's important to not just come and get the information, then you have to go on and act on it. And so I like what you said about making it personal and
Mhm,
you coming up with a plan that works specifically for you. So, can you
mhm.
tell us the time, the date, the how, where to register, and how much it costs, and then we'll talk a little bit about the other event, and then come back and go a little delve a little deeper.
Awesome. So the event for 2 days is $49. That includes your breakfast, your lunch, and all of your materials. And we don't have regular lunch. We have baked spaghetti. We have chicken, ribs, greens, collard greens.
All right, girl. You can't go to dinner for that, and
I
you're gonna get
mean, back on that one.
We have good food, and this is not Kraft mac and cheese meals, but we have your meals for both days. We have all of the materials. It's going to be at 302 West Main Street in Durham. Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can register on Eventbrite under Tilo the Realtor. There's also a QR code that I can provide at the end. You can scan that as well. But yes, absolutely register for this conference. Invest in your future.
Okay. So let me ask you this. If someone couldn't come for both days, is it worth it to come for one day or the other, or you really need to be there both days?
I think it's really going to be to your benefit to be there for both days, but we do have some people that are only going to be able to make it for one day. I
Okay.
know people can't take off work, and things like that. So if they just want to come for the Saturday session, you can reach out to me directly and we'll send you something so you can register for just that session.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to that. So I don't know which Patrice or Janice, which one of you'd like to speak first. I'll let you all decide and share a little bit about your event that I'm happy to say that the Triangle Wealthy Group is a proud sponsor of for Sunday.
Absolutely. I'm going to defer to Janice, and then I'll chime in.
Yeah, so it's again a pleasure to be here with you guys, being able to share about our upcoming event. Fruitage of the Room is a holistic women's event, and we're going to be talking about all things wellness from physical, mental to emotional, as well as financial. We have been able to be in community with a lot of great women of color, and we have invited about 9 different professionals to lead the discussions, to lead activities, and also to provide wellness services for the women on that day. Our retreat is on Sunday, the 12th of this weekend, and it is a 1 day retreat. So we'll start with discussions and head into our activities. We're going to be talking about womanhood, motherhood, and creatorhood, and providing resources and actual techniques to kind of continue processing the trauma that we incur, or I should say, yeah, incur and endure throughout our lives, so that we can be better women to ourselves, better mothers to our children, as well as understanding the mother-daughter relationship, because not everybody has kids. And then also being better creators, whether that's in entrepreneurship, whether that's in visual, dance, music, arts. We are really working to help people get through some of those things that create bondage in ourselves and release that out so that we can be better people for our community's sake. And so, in addition to that, we'll have massages and other health services offered for free. Our tickets are currently $72, which includes the everything you would need, as well as food, as well as the activities and support for those. Interactive components, and then it's at Avila, which is the Center for Community Leadership. And this location is in North Durham. It focuses on social justice issues, and it provides a place for organizations to come and use their property for work that is really pushing community forward. And they're a really awesome group of people. So definitely look into the work that they do there. And that's really the gist of the experience this Sunday. It is our inaugural event. We are looking to have more in the future, but right now we're starting with Fruitage of the Room again on October 12th.
So, what age range? Because sometimes when you hear fruitage of the womb, you might think, oh, you have to be of childbearing age or thinking about having children. Is there an age range that you're targeting, or a
So
woman
for
of any age?
Yeah, for our attendees, we are looking for them to be 18 and older. We do
Mhm.
have child services for those who may have children that need a caretaker. And so we are working with iLead Kids Camp. Yashida is the director of that organization, and she is really great with kids, and she does STEM program. And so she'll be on site for those who need that service to take care of the children in a safe environment where they can still interact with their mothers and get fed and do all the things necessary. So we do have that in mind and covered for those who may need that as well.
Okay. Patrice, you wanted to chime in?
Well, I was just going to say one of the things that I play a huge role in this coming weekend is as Janice's mother, but also coach along the way. I am, of course, just so proud to be able to say that as we talk about moving, oh man, the needle forward in community, the young people have so much to offer. So, yes, as the founder of Level Next Training and Life Coach Institute, part of it is creating spaces for authentic conversation. Part of it is how do we move the needle forward? And that needle being moved forward looks different when you look at um, generational aspects. And there are gaps. Let's just be honest about it. And the more that we can create those spaces where in community, whether it's the learning, the authentic learning, it's the community conversations, then we are in a better position to what I say exploit the enemy that is playing at all times in the gaps. I love make that move and make the moves of your realty because it reminds me of chess. You know, everything is about how are we making moves and why now? Why now
Mm,
should we really be saying we got to do something more to come together in community and break down the very things that we also need to disrupt in order to build. And so I'm very excited to be the host organization of Fruitage of the Womb as the founder and executive director of Level Next Training and Life Coach Institute. Part of, as I spoke earlier, it was designed to create community of practice. How do we bring a circle of trusted leaders together and respected leaders that are looking to build capacity in different ways? Not just one entity, but where we're all moving that change forward. And so, Janice, through her endeavors, will bring that and give birth to that this weekend with those women that will be coming together. I am also hosting another conference later this month, October 25th, and that's going to be at the Junior League of Raleigh. And that is the Whole Woman Conference. And again, that whole keeps coming up because that's wellness, that's health,
mhm,
and all of it is geared towards also how do we begin to identify, and I'm doing a session called Conundrum of Blind Spots. And that means we're looking at the gaps, the very things that keep us from seeing or dimming, as women, dimming our light,
mhm.
disassociate with the power, the innate power that we have. How do we identify that and take back and recover what's within us, and that's the God within us. So I'm excited about both events. I'll talk a little bit more about that one as well. But right now, this weekend, we are gearing up and looking forward to all the women's mothers, daughters, aunties, grandmothers, those who are saying it's now's the time to say a bold yes to
Mhm.
yourself.
Mm. So, you told the price is 73. Where can they register and what time is the event on Sunday?
Yes, so just to correct it, it's 72, only a dollar
72.
off. But yes, it is on Eventbrite as well. You can type in Fruitage of the Womb with Eventbrite after it, so it can direct you directly to our Eventbrite page. We also have a few articles that were released talking about the retreat as well. So please feel free to read on that. We do also have a web page giving a little bit more information about our three keynote speakers, our three activity facilitators, and also our wellness services. So we have all the information you might be looking for right online.
Okay. So I want to go and kind of talk about because health and wellness kind of go hand in hand to me. You, Tasha, you sort of touched on it, but both of them are also about legacy because I know in our community a lot of times we don't want to either talk about planning for our transition and passing on that wealth. Sometimes we don't want to talk about our health issues, and so that we can know in our family that there's whatever mental illness, cancer, whatever it is. So, can any of you chime in and talk about how they go together and the significance of talking about them in our community and dealing with it and not thinking, oh, well, if I bring this up, then something bad's going to happen.
May I? May I start us?
Sure.
First of all, I'm very involved in healthcare because that's actually my full time. So
Mhm,
I wholly believe in taking care of the whole person.
mhm,
Um, I look at patients all day long, look at their charts and things like that all day long. And one of the young ladies, I can't remember which one, mentioned generational trauma, and that is absolutely something that we bring from generation to generation. And it's not just mental, but that mental trauma um, translates into impacts that affect everything that we do. For example, I'll give you a really quick example, which is one of the things that really prompted me to do this conference. I had a young lady, she came to me, wanted to buy some property, and she says, I've got money. And I said, okay, great. So we go to I sent her through financing and everything. And she says, the finance person calls me and says, she's only got $1,000 in this account. So I call her and I say, where's the rest of your money? And she says, well, I have $7,000. I said, well, where is it? And she sends me a picture and has hundreds of dollars coming out of a coffee can. And
mm,
I said, okay. So everyone on this call knows where that comes from, right?
mhm.
Because
Yeah.
there was a time when people stopped us from getting money from our banks. Some of the older ones, I'm sorry, maybe not Janice, but we weren't allowed to. Sometimes they would steal. And so that is generational trauma. She said, well, in my family, we don't do that. I said, well, you're in America and you will hear, because we don't have a choice anymore. You can't just do that. And so I said, not only are you hurting yourself from being able to buy this property, but that money should be sitting in an account because you should be able to draw interest on that every month.
Mhm,
And so we don't just have mental trauma, but that mental trauma translates into financial trauma. And so the other thing that I think people, the reason why we have some of this trauma and lack of knowledge, we won't go into all of the history of it, but that we've had some barriers as far as access to information.
mhm,
Understanding wills, and people, for example, think, oh well, I have a will, so when I die, everything is going to be fine. Well, we know that that's not the case. Your house still has to go through probate. It's still going to cost you money. So that little bit of that you managed to scrimp and save is going to get spent going through the probate process. And so, one of the things that our conference desires to do is to break some of those stigmas around, talking about death because you need to. Also, I'm a believer in, and I believe that, that you should leave an inheritance for your children's children.
Yes.
And so how to do that financially in a way that makes sense and continues to allow them to gain equal footing as some of their peers is something that we really need to talk to. We've also had a lot of, discrimination practices. Of course, systemic racism is not necessarily something that is in place as far as legally, but we know that that mentality is still there. And so how to break through the trauma that causes, as well as the barriers that are presented by that, I think is also another thing that we really need to discuss, in our community. And so we seek to do that with this conference. And just to give you sort of an example, we have quite a few speakers, but the majority of them are not Black, but they've agreed to speak at this conference because they understand the value of being able to enrich every community, right?
mhm,
Because you're only as strong as your weakest link.
mhm,
Black people represent the smallest number of investors, even though we are not the smallest among the population. And
mhm,
there's a reason for that. So trying to address some of that, open up some of those barriers, give additional information, help break down the broken mentality around investing is something that we really aim to do with this conference. And then again, you know, legacy planning. How do you transition this to your children? Help your children understand the value. Oh, It's not just mom left us a house, now let's sell it and get the money. No, mom left you a house. How do you take that house that mom left you and multiply it so that it's something for you, for your children, your children's children, and to keep doing that, because that is how you build generational wealth.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
that's, some of what we're trying to do with this conference.
absolutely.
I would
Patrice,
love.
did
Yeah,
you?
I just wanted to chime in because something you said just really struck home for me, and I often speak about what is it that we are passing on and what is it that we're leaving behind. And
Mm,
when we pause to think about that, when we think about generational, there's so much, be it unintentional, that is getting passed on that should never get passed back to our generations coming behind us.
Mhm, mhm,
Whether it is we deal with a lot of shame, we
mhm,
deal with things that we don't want to talk about in community. And these are the very things that are being leveraged against us that will work against us collectively as a community. But again, it goes back to we have to take a retrospective look at self, and how that manifests with us, which is a large part of why the Footage of the Womb conference is being taken place, is because a lot of things are manifesting that has to be addressed at that whole person. We can talk
mhm,
about building whole communities, but if we are unable to build whole connections, whole relationships, we cannot build whole communities. It has a domino effect. And so I want, instead of me trying to speak to all of the different kinds of sessions that would be taking place that day, I'm going to allow Janice to speak to that. But it just really brought home this thing of what is it that we're really passing along and leaving behind, because it should be a legacy and it
mm,
should be wealth. But that starts with wealth mentality. It starts with breaking down and dismantling this idea that there is lack and that there is not enough for
mm,
us.
mm,
That's the
mhm,
reason we can come into community on this particular podcast today and realize that I'm excited to be able to say I'm contributing to something that is moving things
mm,
within the community with other powerful women. That
mm,
should be a powerful motivator and add, something that gets us activated. But you'd be surprised that those are sometimes things that will shut us down.
mhm.
mm,
And
mm,
Patrice, you mentioned being a whole person. That is, if when we talk about working together as a community, and even if you just think in terms of numerically, if you multiply a whole person times a fraction, you get a fraction. You get a broken piece. You don't get a whole person. So one times one is always going to equal one. But if you have one times zero point 0.5, then you don't have a whole person. So then now you've created weakness. And
mm,
so the wholeness, we do talk about the financial aspect, but if you don't get that mentality straight, if you don't get that brokenness inside of you that causes you to think in fractured terms, you can't ever move forward as a whole person. And
mm,
so it's, like you said, it's your mental, it's your physical, it's your spiritual, like all of those things. You need to be a whole person before you try to um you know, move forward and join yourself, to someone else. But Latrice mentioned it as well, that crab mentality. People that are whole don't have that mentality.
mhm, mhm. Yeah.
So when you're
Mhm.
when you have that crab mentality, you're reaching for what you don't have.
Absolutely. That's that lack mentality too, because you're
Right.
thinking that if I don't grab a hold of this, and that's why we go after things that may not even align with
Right.
even, you know, purposeful things, but we
Mhm.
grab it thinking that if I don't, nothing else is going to come or I
Absolutely.
won't have access. And
Absolutely.
that mentality is a defeated mentality. So I'm going to
Absolutely.
pause there.
I just wanted to hop in because I really appreciate the conversation around wellness and health, and also like financial literacy and understanding that journey in itself. As a representative of not everybody, but the younger generation, I know that there's a really deep interest for my peers to really begin to be at a place where they're regulated within themselves so that they can take advantage of the wonderful opportunities that are coming up within our community and outside. And so when I had begun the process of organizing Fruitage of the Womb with the rest of the women on our planning committee, that is really the focus. It is making sure that in this intergenerational space that we've created, we're sharing the wealth of knowledge and wisdom from people who might not even be related to us, but are still very valuable with what information they can share and provide. On the topic of trauma specifically, one of our keynote speakers, Dr. Patricia Crisp, actually talks about how trauma manifests and turns into disease once you allow
Mhm.
for it to go unchecked. And so
Absolutely.
the alternative holistic practices that we are hoping to introduce women to are going to be some of the things, along with their walk with God, of course, to be able to work through that pain that we carry that actually interferes with our ability to even see beyond our reality, beyond
Mm.
our environment, and go after real estate and learn and just be more than what we were told that we could be. And so hopefully we can continue to have more people come and join us this week because it's going to be a very great conversation within both events. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm glad a couple of things that you all brought up. I definitely want to say that I commend the youth or younger generation because I see a complete difference. My generation and I think older generations, we don't, no, this is my pain. This is my baggage. No,
Right.
I'm not sharing it and just going somewhere. It is what it is and I'm gonna take it to the grave. So, but the younger generation, I can see just even from my children, they're like, oh no, this is it. I'm gonna tell you. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, but I do love it because it's freeing. And if you don't, you can't have all of that. What Erica Badu say, that bag lady, you're gonna hurt yourself. And
Yes.
we are. So we have to let that go. So I love that you brought up that difference. And then also I like the part I wanted to stress that this is a first step for a lot of people. So I don't want people to come thinking that, oh, I'm going to get this and it's going to be the salvation of my life. But this is the first step for you to make your move to be open to get the healing, to get the information, to be able to start to apply it. But it's a process. So I'm very familiar with Dr. Chris. I've been going to her for years, and love what she does and love that because I've been a believer in holistic healing probably all of my life, but definitely the last 30 years, that's just pretty much been primarily my method of healing because I tell people I think I watch too much House, and I'm like, y'all not going to be experimenting on me. Like you in your room trying to figure out, oh, this is whatever. You'll give me the nah. So I would rather talk to someone who's going to listen, check my body and tell me what I need specifically for me. Because just like Tasha was saying with the AIRS conference, it is individual, and each individual has a different need medically, spiritually, emotionally, all of those things. So I just wanted to, bring up those 2 points. And again, if there's anything else that anybody would like to say as far as the importance of it, because they go together, because all the money in the world cannot buy you health,
No.
and but it can help you get to a certain point if you apply it. But it's important to have that health so that you can have the knowledge and get the knowledge and take those steps to build wealth. So, and they do go hand in hand. And I think there needs to be a balance because we can see a lot of people, they have a lot of money, but then they just out here doing the craziest things.
Mhm. It is all interconnected.
Right,
It is
exactly.
definitely interconnected. And I think when we operate in silos, and that's what I really love about how you create a community right on this call, it's important that we realize that silos will work against.
Hmm.
Sorry, I got a tickle. Hold on.
Yeah, what she's saying is
I
very,
was
very
just
good. Silos do. You got to have the interconnection. Tasha, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say a couple of things real quick. I think as far as the holisticness, and having the right mentality, and being healthy mentally. That was one of the things that prevented me from investing in real estate. When I
Mm,
tell you, I researched it for 7 years before I made the first move, and it was because of generational trauma.
mm,
My I looked at what my family had, and I looked at what we didn't have. I looked at what we did do and what we didn't do, and I realized I had the wrong mentality, about it. And without understanding who you are as a person, your position, as I call it a position of power, but also of humility. You're standing, for me, my standing in the Lord, I'm like, oh, you know what, no, if I'm doing the right thing, then he's going to bless, the thing that I'm doing, as long as it's right and it's in his will. And that's what I really wanted to do, with this conference. And we also talked a little bit about the collective. So, one of the things in our community is a lack of collective cooperation. And that hurts us because we think we have to hold our little bit,
mm.
because we won't. If somebody else gets it, then it's not going to be right, or they're not going to get it back. And so, rather than you opening your hand to receive, you close your hand and you get nothing. And
Right.
so, one of the things that we're doing with this conference is, we're introducing an opportunity for everyone to invest, regardless of whether you have $1,000 or you've got $50,000. There's a way for you to do it. It's legal, it's safe, it gives you protection, and it's a building block. So where do you start? The question is not, how do I become healthy? How do I break? Or is the question is not, can I become healthy? Can I break the mentality? Can I break generational trauma? Can I pass down blessings to my kids instead of curses? The answer is how. It's not a if, it's a how. It's the you must, do this. You must be a whole person. You must be a healthy person. If we don't talk about the generational trauma of your father leaving and leaving you and your mom with nothing, and your mom having to work, 3 or 4 jobs, never being at home with you, never sharing with you, you know, how to process what you have inside, then what do you pass on, to your children? You're going to pass that same thing on to them, even if they don't experience it. And so, I appreciate the balance here, because if again, if you're not healthy in your mind and in your body, then you can't be healthy, in your finances, and you don't want to pass down unhealthy habits to the next generation. And the last thing I'll say is, my birthday was the third, and I sat back and I looked at my life and I said, God, thank you. Because you know what? I had a very traumatic life. I got pregnant with my first child when I was 14 years old. I had 3 kids right back to back to back. I was married and divorced before I was 26. And so, but now when I look at my life, none of my children were teen parents. My daughter bought her first house before she turned 26. All of my children have been married before, they have children, or they have healthy marriages. Not perfect, but they have healthy marriages. They have, good spouses that work. My sons are not in jail. My daughter's not in jail. They serve God because they want to, not because they have to. And they're all adults now.
Mhm,
So I said, God, that is wealth. That's something that money can't buy you. That's a
mhm,
peace that money can't buy you. And so, this all from a very young girl who was traumatized at a very young age with really crazy things that happened in my life. But I went on a journey of health and wellness. And I'm thankful to say that I feel like the wealthiest woman in the world because of what I have, not because I have money, because I don't have it, but what I do have is a beautiful family with beautiful mini babies and grandbabies and things like that. And I pray that for everybody else. And I pray that that's the fruitage of the womb that comes from Janice's conference, those types of things. So that's all I wanted to add in there, share my little testimony.
Thank you for sharing. That's beautiful, and happy belated birthday for you.
Thank
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Patrice, you were gonna finish your silo?
Yes,
You
I
okay?
apologize for that. But I had to say that I appreciate you, sister, for sharing your testimony, because anytime we again come out of our silos to come into spaces where we can build trust, but that trust starts within our family nucleus. It is Trust is a commodity.
Hmm.
Trust is often one of the things that's undervalued, but it is a commodity, but it's also it can activate so much. And when I think about mothers and daughters, and I can talk specifically, with Johnny's on here, that we do things that have to do with, let's come outside of just being with our own age, but let's do it across this generational thing, this generational aspect, so that we can talk about something that perhaps before we just passed it along because we were told to. But we don't have to keep passing things along because our young people will tell us either they're going to align with us or they're going to reject it. And we have to listen. We have to listen across the lines if we're going to really grow and if we're going to really lift this community and lift one another. I just want to share that part. Thank you.
No, I appreciate that. And I think it's important for people to understand that your story and your journey is your journey and your story. And it doesn't make it right or wrong. Somebody else's journey doesn't make yours better or worse or whatever. It's just, it's yours and you have to own it. We have to own whatever it is and not feel guilty for good things, bad things, whatever has happened in your life. So, and it's okay to own it and to see what is the purpose. Why was this allowed to happen to me? Or why was this allowed to be a benefit to me? So, I think it's important for us to own our own journey and respect it and not let anybody else tell us, oh, this is what your story should be or how you should have done something. No, this is what it is. And understand what your purpose is and why it was and how can you give back and maybe pull the next person up with you. So Janice, did you want to say add anything to these last little comments here before we
Yeah,
wrap
I
up?
again appreciate the conversation and discourse going on. It really makes me think about the conversation of generational wealth and growing from that phrase into having generational wellness, generational resiliency, so that we can continue to push forward and not get, so focused on the money aspect because, like we are saying, wealth and health are a part of the same coin. And so I feel super encouraged to be invited on your platform to talk about it with everybody here who has so much wisdom and knowledge. And I really, really, really am grateful and know that both of our events are going to be so blessed. And so I'm excited to have started the week off like this and then to wrap it up with both of our events. So thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any closing comments from anybody before we wrap up?
Thank you, Latrice, for bringing us on, and I'm very excited, and I'm thankful to have met such beautiful ladies that are also invested in our communities, and it's even doubly blessed to see that it's a mom and a daughter,
Mhm.
and that I mean that's generational wealth right there. I mean that's that I mean if you're going to characterize generational wealth, you're looking at it right here on this call. That's just amazing.
I agree. Before you all make your comments, if you could drop in the comments the links to your events, that would be great. So, closing comments from Patrice or Janice.
I just wanted to say again, I appreciate the opportunity to be invited here on the platform. Again, we are looking forward to the ladies coming out this weekend, and that is October 12th. And then, if you're also still looking to do even more healing and transformational experiences, check out Whole Women Conference on October 25th. It is at the Raleigh Junior League, and you can find that on Eventbrite.
Okay. And if you want to drop that link in the chat as well, it'll show up so everybody can see both of those links. Janice,
Thanks everybody again. Also, big thank you for Triangle Wealthy Group for sponsoring Fruitage of the Womb. With your support, we are definitely able to make sure this day is one to be remembered. So we appreciate you walking aside of us as well. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you all for joining me today. I've really thoroughly enjoyed the conversation and looking forward to much success with all of your events. I would be remiss if I did not share that Triangle Wealthy Group is also hosting an event on Saturday. It is home ownership for the self-employed, or yeah, for entrepreneurs. If you are interested in buying a home, sometimes it can be Tasha talked about the lack of resources, and sometimes when you're self-employed, it's a little bit more challenging, but there are opportunities and programs out here that can help if you're self-employed for you to be able to buy a home. So if you're interested in that event, it's going to be at 2 o'clock on Saturday at New American Funding. And you can register at twgpresents.com. And then also to go along with the wealth building, the Triangle Wealthy Group is also hosting the second Saturday of November and December. We're doing a follow up to our Juneteenth event, which was multifamily commercial investing. And that is also going to be at New American Funding at 2 o'clock on the 8th of November and I think the 13th of December. Those two events have a nominal investment. And all of the costs for associated with all of these events, they're investments. They're investments in yourself and your business and your life and your health. So we shouldn't let an expense or the registration fee be a deterrent for us, because what you're getting at all of these events, from what I could say, like Tasha's event, $50, and you're gonna get food for 2 days. If you went out to dinner by yourself one day, you're gonna spend $50. So you're getting a double whammy with that information. $70 to $72 to come and learn about things that can help you, because that you what you're passing on, what you're living, and what you're passing on to your children or the people that are even around you is you can't put a number on it. And the nominal investment to do the events in November and December with the Triangle Wealthy Group, you really can't put a price on it. It's just a small investment just to cover the expenses. Because when we're doing these events and things, it costs money. It's not a wealth building. That's not wealth building. That is wealth building in the sense of that we feel good because we're able to give back and educate. But I don't think anybody's gonna be walking away with a whole bunch of money in their pocket after these events. You might have even had to add a little something on to it. So I encourage you to definitely check out all of the events. Our events available at twgpresents.com. And there are nominal fees or investments for the November and December, but there are early bird pricing right now. So I thank you all. This has been an amazing conversation. Did you have something else you wanted to say? You look like you were okay. Amazing conversation. I know that all of the events this weekend are going to be very, very successful, and I look forward to hearing good reports and good information from that. And I again always encourage everybody to make your move, because every step counts. And everybody have a beautiful week this week, and enjoy the rest of your Monday. And we'll see you next week.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.